And from a holistic perspective, it looked like those who fell outside of the assumptions of Western medical, of the Western way of framing dementia, those who fell outside of that framing were going to be the ones impacted. So that's what Oppression Olympics are, and sort of a way to circumvent that. Did that answer anyone's question? I don't know. I hope.
I think it did. Okay, any other? Stephanie, do you have a question? We're just going to unmute you. Oh, hang on. Hang on there, Stephanie. Can we unmute you? Lisa, are you able to unmute Stephanie, please?
I'm trying to unmute Stephanie. Stephanie, I don't know. Oh, there we go. You should work now.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. My question is with regards to early onset dementias. So I'm wondering how that's going to impact with people that are of different cultures or newly Canadians, if they end up needing extra care with, as opposed like dementia care. As they're, dementia, you tend to seek out things. So if they're have not been in Canada 40, 50 years, and they've only maybe been in Canada 5, 6 years, or even maybe less, and they're diagnosed and with early onset, do you see that as going to be a whole other can of worms?
So my father, when he first began exhibiting signs and symptoms, I said, Dad, you're going to go to the doctor. He said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. We're going to go to the doctor. And we sat with the doctor, and the doctor gave his assessment and told me thereafter, which then we told my father. And he at first was very much, no, I don't. What is that? I don't know what that means. I don't want to do that. I was familiar with the healthcare system, so I was able to help that.
Yeah.
So for those who have early onset dementia, what I found when I was, and this is all from my research and when I was sitting in support groups and what have you, is a strong network for these people, a very strong network of family and friends. To speak with them, to support them, to sit with them, and to advocate for them, if they can, at the healthcare, at the point of the healthcare institution interaction with whatever provider it is. To ensure two things. That, number one, the provider does not dismiss the person's claims, right? Either from a cultural context or any other context, does not dismiss their claims. And to help the person from that different background understand and accept what they're experiencing. Because oftentimes you'll have different cultural contexts where, no, I'm fine, I'm just forgetful, I'm just, I got my keys here, okay, it's fine. But having someone be their advocate, and again, as I was talking about those cultural institutions and organizations alongside healthcare institutions and organizations can be really beneficial. In that instance, you can maybe leverage a community organization, someone to talk to explain things, to even help set up some sort of informal workshops, some informal campaigning in the community to get people really understanding sort of what dementia related issues are. Does that help?
Oh, I think she got muted.
I'm worried that, from my experience, that because they are younger, the ingrain of maybe stigma from their former country might make getting treatment and support more difficult, because there might be, like, I teach in a nursing class and I show World Health Organization videos often on this different stigmas around the world on mental health. I know dementia and mental health are two different things, but in another way, they're really not. So I'm trying to navigate how that interpretation might be taken.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And in that case, I would say very much relying again on community.
Family
and community organizations, because they're the experts, right? They're going to know, and they're going to know the best way to frame dementia. Even maybe you don't want to. Maybe they won't. Maybe they don't want to hear dementia. Maybe they want to hear something else. Maybe it's framed in a different way that's relevant and safe for them, but still allows them to engage the healthcare system, right?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, absolutely. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So as a caregiver, I'm a caregiver for my husband, but as a nurse, my process would then be to follow what you're doing is to make sure I have as many family members involved
Absolutely.
every step of the way in the
100%.
treatment so that they can do this
Yeah.
more.
And
Absolutely.
actually it's a domino effect because that family
Absolutely.
is going to tell their friends, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. Once it becomes destigmatized and once
Yeah.
they can see the safety that their loved one is actually experiencing and that, you know what, they're having some dementia-related illnesses, but they're in good hands. They're being treated well with dignity. And their health is improving or is stabilizing, they're in good hands. They're going to be more inclined to be more open to talk about it and help destigmatize.
Awesome answer.
Okay, thanks for the question, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
The other person I have for you is Jessica. If you want to ask your question, and then we're going to flip over to Lori for possibly the last question. You might.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Sorry. No, you know what? I don't have a question. I was just listening intently. It's great. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Jessica is actually, she's another student at York University, and she is doing very wonderful work as well, similar to the work that I'm doing. She's looking at ethno-racial communities, diverse communities in Canada as well, and access to dementia services. So her and I are colleagues in this area. So
hey, we'll have to talk, Jessica.
Yes.
There you go. All right, Lori, over to you.
It wasn't a question, it was just a comment. I just wanted to thank you, Ngozi, for going down this road, because I think it's so important that people with dementia have their rights respected, and culture is such an important one for each of us. As you were talking, I was just wishing that there was a checklist that we could provide to each family, which would allow them to, easily explain the differences and the choices that their loved ones require and would benefit from. I know it's never that simple, but I just wanted to thank you for this, and I hope you keep this going in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any final questions? I think we got them all. Okay, Lisa, do we have hang on. One's just coming in through the chat. This is from Avery.
Okay.
Where do you find advice on culturally appropriate care?
First off, I would say go to the family of the patient with dementia, or go to the friends of the patient with the person with dementia. If that's not possible, broadening out to the community where that person is from. So if they're Macedonian, for example, if they don't have immediate family members or immediate friends or neighbors or what have you, reaching out to the Macedonian community organizations in and around the area and saying, hey, I'm supporting someone with dementia. Is there anything that maybe I can look at and pinpoint to? And I not to say that I want to give more work to community groups and community members. I don't want to just pass the buck, as it were. But I do very much believe in participatory research and participatory programming and policymaking so that people are involved and have their experiences actually reflected in the levels of care that are seen. And the best way for me would be to go to the source and establishing those relationships and those connections.
Okay, thank you. And Naomi, you get the last question of the day.
Hi there, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. One thing that I find very interesting is that the reference back to caregivers and their families. Now, my question is, I've seen people in care that do not have a family or anything else like that. So how are we as a government or a province accounting for those people's cultural differences when they don't have a voice to really speak up on their behalf?
Go to the community. I absolutely say go. I used to work in a healthcare institution many years ago, and there was a man there He was from an Eastern European country. And while he did not have dementia, he was in decline. And he did not have any family, or he had a neighbor check in on him every so often. And the nurse actually took it upon herself on her off days. I'm not suggesting this to anyone to do, but she took it upon herself on her off days to tap into this man's community of origin and ask some questions and figure out the best way to support him and understand him from a gendered perspective, because he was an older man and he had some ideas about gender relations, and as well from a language perspective, and all of that in tandem to better support him while he was there, had to stay in our unit. So in the absence of family, again, and in the absence of friends, and in the absence of someone that is intimately connected to the person with dementia, I would always say to go to the community, go to a faith-based organization that they might be affiliated with, and finding information there. What I would not suggest, though, is to not attempt that, because at the end of the day, the person with dementia is going to be the one most affected by it. And tapping into the community links could lead to other things. If they are not able to help, they may have references for someone or somewhere else that could help. But it's always out there. It's always out there.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? I can't even see.
Like Mary Beth might be frozen. This is just Lisa jumping in here. There is just a question, a comment in the chat, I think from Suzanne White.
Okay.
Can you see the chat, Ngozi? Because I think it says, I think upcoming generational changes will help us to change the system. Where I am, there is still a lot of bias against other cultures just because they are not familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, as my generation gets old, the 50-ish crowd, we will be more accepting of the different cultures and caregivers in our care facilities. She says, I feel like your work is pivotal to prepare the way.
Oh, thank you.
I think that is an outstanding note to close on. So Suzanne, thank you very much for that. And thank you to everybody who joined us for this really fabulous presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Ngozi, so thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye. Oh, I want to leave them.
Okay.
Did he know the idea? Well, I can see.
Oh, there you are, Mary Beth.
Yeah, my apologies. The challenges of when you're in a car. So, Lisa, do we have one last slide to show?
Do we? Okay, one sec here. I think, you know what?
Perhaps.
I think that might be it.
Okay. So did I lose everybody? Yeah, we're down to 14. My apologies. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming to today's very interesting conversation to Rizzoni. And you will get a link on this recording. Please, spread the word about Dementia Advocacy Canada. We really would love to have people living with dementia in particular to be part of these conversations. So, Stephanie, I got my eye on you. Okay. We should talk. Yeah, I would love to talk with you. Hang on. How about we send, I'll send you my email. Okay. And thank you everyone for coming to today's event. Until next time.